pomyślą jaźń.
Okay, so Jan, 5 minutes. Let's start.
Excellent, thank you. Does it work? Yes, it works. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jan. My surname is 29% emoji, which is just one reason why UTF-8 is such a good idea. I'm also on Twitter. I will talk about mutants. It's all about the talk which Plexus gave yesterday. It was an excellent talk, and when he showed this slide, it said something along the lines of, if you're into Clojure and are excited about property-based testing, let me share something personal. I am excited about Clojure. I work with Clojure full-time at Stylefruits, and additionally, well, I have a keyboard for that in the first place. And on top of that, I am excited about property-based testing. There's even a talk about how excited I am. Let's talk about a typical Clojure project. There is the boilerplate file, there is the sources directory, there is the test directory, and there is the empty directory. Don't laugh, this is really sad. So property-based testing is all about the source directory. We will define some properties which will express our claims about what's happening in the source directory, right? Those claims are like, for every valid input, if I apply my logic to this input, the resulting value will make sense. And the trickiest bit is getting this makes sense predicate and the for all operator right. Afterward, it's quite simple. So this is property-based testing, right? And what about the other non-empty directory, right? How do we determine whether everything there is also all right? Well, this is when mutation testing kicks in. Mutation testing is an interesting technique where we introduce small defects into our sources, run our test suite, and check whether everything is still all right. Well, how does it work? Let's assume we have this software project where everything is completely fine, it's green, test suite, we're very happy about it. In mutation testing, we will introduce a small defect to this project. And we will run our test suite, and we will see whether test suite passes or not. If it passes, there is a problem, right? Because either our test suite is incomplete, or there is some dead code we can remove. In any case, we have some feedback we can react upon. To have a language support mutation testing properly, we should have dynamic code reloading and a syntax which is simple enough so that we can manipulate it and introduce those defects. Clojure comes to mind, right? So I started looking for solutions. Turns out there is not much. I even asked the question and I got a storm of feedback, 2 likes and a single response, which was tongue-in-cheek. So I realized there is a niche, right? I found nothing. There is no mutation testing library out there. I'm sure you all expect what's happening on the next slide, right? Yes. 1 weekend later, I've got Mutant, which is super stable, as the version number suggests, super stable mutation testing library for Clojure. I want you to check it out, download it, give it a try, and if, just like me, you enjoy your test suite failing completely by random, you will love this. Give it a go, and let me know what you think. I can't wait for your feedback. No, it's not all I've got. There's one more thing. Our dear Polyconf team is organizing a massive party tonight, right? But I want you to be careful. I want you to be responsible. Because tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I repeat, 9 a.m., this is not a drill. I'm giving a talk about Erlang, and I want all of you to be here with me. Without you, it won't be the same. My name is Jan Stępień. That's all I've got. Thank you all so much.
Okay, so let's start. My name is Przemysław Krowiński, and today I would like to talk to you about polyglot programming and experimental projects. So basically, I would like to share my story about creating different small apps, sometimes production ready, sometimes not, with different programming languages. And basically about me, I'm a full stack web developer. Those days I program mainly in Ruby and in JavaScript. And for the most part of my programming life, I worked at a startup that I created myself. That was kind of like a mix between a game and a social network. And these days I work at Profinda, which is a collaboration platform that allows you to easily look for talent within your company. So basically this talk will be, as I mentioned, about my experiments with different programming languages. I want to share like some experiences with building, like deploying and growing various small projects. And also I want to share some common problems that I encountered like along the way and using different technologies. And I would also like to hear your feedback and your ideas about different things that I will be talking about. So basically, as many people did, I started with PHP, and basically it was like really easy to deploy, really easy to create something, and it was really fast when it comes to first, as I mentioned, deploying things, and second, running them actually. I didn't ever like encounter any problems on my servers, even running like huge, big production-ready apps. But after some time, I decided to move on. I started basically developing my projects in PHP 4. And yeah, during that time, there was not a lot of like good libraries for PHP, and it was really easy to introduce like technical depth to your project. So I got like really overwhelmed by it and was looking at to change basically for something different. And this is when I encountered Ruby. And what I really loved about it was the great, like friendly community and emphasis on best practices and consistency in your code, which was missing for me in PHP at that time. And basically there was a ton of meetups, books, and other like amazing learning resources. And I really like loved the Rails framework that allowed me to like do things like quickly and easily. But after a while, the Rails framework became a problem actually, because some things that I wanted to do, some problems that I wanted to solve, were kind of not really compatible with the ways that Rails was doing things. And I also got like really interested in functional programming and really wanted to do something that's, that relates to that. And I also discovered that my Rails projects were like really heavy when it comes to like different dependencies like gems, but not only. For example, stuff like Redis, stuff for like handling background jobs, stuff for real time like Pusher and other things like that. They were like really hard to maintain after a while. So basically, this is when I discovered Elixir, and this was again a language that had like a great friendly community, and yeah, it was functional programming, so exactly what I wanted. Still, emphasis on best practices and on consistency was really important. Some amazing libraries that help with that, and also, as I mentioned with Rails, I had access to great books, tutorials, amazing meetups with amazing people. And the Phoenix framework was something like really lightweight compared to Rails, and something that I really like loved after like a first glance, basically. And yeah, I really wanted to create something that has like real-time support, and yeah. Here at the bottom you can see basically a small table that comes from the book Elixir in Action, and this is basically a good summary of what I'm talking about. When it comes to like different languages, you have to use like many different things to basically get things done, and in Elixir everything is based on Erlang, so it's already like the ecosystem solves many of your problems. And okay, that was like the backend stuff, but what I'm doing about the front end now. I started like developing really like traditional apps, so just render text, not many JavaScript, maybe some jQuery and stuff like that. I moved later to like single page apps, but now I'm kind of like going the other way around, because I kind of realized that it's really much nicer to write like more traditional apps with less JavaScript. That single page apps are not always like the best solution. So I'm still like looking for the ideal solution there. But Phoenix and Elixir really helped there when it comes to, again, like deploying applications and using like modern workflows, because Phoenix comes with branch. And basically, as many people like mentioned before, Elm is a really amazing functional language, so I'm really learning it right now and really looking into it. So basically, I just wanted to create this talk to share my experiences with you and to ask you about feedback. Maybe you like had very like similar experiences. Maybe you have your own like ideas and opinions. So yeah, feel free to contact me, send me a message, let me know what you think, if you agree or if you don't. Thank you very much.
Okay, so my talk is where we didn't put React yet. Last year, I've been here extremely inspired by many people at Polyconf. All of them made me think to myself, just do anything possible to give at least a lightning talk at the next PolyConf. And I wanted to be like them because they shared so much knowledge with me, and I wanted to do the same stuff. So for me, standing here is already like winning. And to make it easier also for you to share my current experience, I wanted to make this talk a bit meta. So there will be a to-do list that will show my thoughts when developing this presentation in the bottom right corner here. So after being here at PolyConf, I started to try all the languages that's been here. I went through Ruby, JS, Golang, Elixir, Clojure, learned a lot of stuff, but I couldn't find a clear inspiration to what to talk about. And because of that, I had to go and ask Google for that. So how to get fame on Tech Conference, and there was one clear winner, React. You just have to give a talk about React, and it should be okay, right? So there's only one more problem. I just can't go on here and say React, React, React. I should show something. Because React is everywhere, it's not that easy to find any place that it hasn't been already. And I think it's pretty hard to still invent a new place where to put React. But I found one place. World of Warcraft. I'm a huge fan of the game. I'm a nerd, obviously. And I played it, lost like half of my life playing it. And I thought to myself, okay, let's create an add-on in React and run it in WoW. But WoW has a scripting language, Lua, in it. So I decided to create my own React and run it in WoW. And this is how the code looks, to just render a view. So as previously, like 50 times already on this conference, you see React code, so it should be pretty familiar to you. It's like defining props, children, and it's a lot easier to do it this way than to specify it manually. And I created an app for it, and I am gonna give a demo. So here you go, World of Warcraft. Oh, I'm not gonna show this one. I'll reload the whole application just to be sure. And here you have it. I thought to myself, okay, what can you do? So I created a to-do MVC just to be sure. Everyone likes a to-do MVC. And unfortunately, as you've seen like previously on this list, there is nothing like do something mean. So I didn't only implement React, but I also implemented Redux in it. So you can go back to past and see that for some reason changing something added an item. So I'll go to code, fix the bug, reload the page, reload the code, and it's no longer there. And of course, you can also go back to the future. So from me, do weird stuff, try to talk on conferences, and thank you very much.
Okay, so my name is Silvia Pina, and my talk is about cognitive bias in programming. I'm going to explain that in a minute. First, I wanted to tell you about how I got to this topic. So for my day job, I work as a software developer for Zalando. And I also studied computer engineering, but I also have, from previously, a background in psychology. So I studied psychology and now made it as somewhat of my mission to bring software engineering and psychology together. And there are many areas in which they intersect. But in this presentation, I'm going to focus on how our cognitive processes affect problem solving in software engineering. So I would like to start with a quote from one of my computer science professors who talks about a semantic web of two kinds of servers. So we have, on the one hand, silicon-based servers, also called computers, and we have carbon-based servers, which are us humans. And there is somewhat of a mismatch. So we are dealing with machines that are highly rational, but as humans, we do not have unlimited rationality. So we tend, among other things, to oversimplify problems sometimes, and this can introduce errors in our code. The two psychologists that studied this topic are called Kahneman and Tversky, who originally studied it. And they spoke of cognitive biases as systematic errors in our thinking. So we tend to use heuristics, which are ways to simplify our thought processes, or like thinking shortcuts, and these often lead to wrong decisions, even though this is not always the case. So I have here some examples of tasks, experimental tasks, that were created to show these biases. So for example, if you ask people which of these two images represents a random dot distribution, they will tend to say that it's the one on the left, when it's in fact it's the one on the right. So we expect some regularity in random events that is not actually there. And for example, in this other task, when we give someone's description, so for example, someone is described as being bright, quiet, and liking science fiction and fantasy, and often not engaged in human interaction. And if you ask if it's more likely that he is a programmer, or if it's more likely that he is a programmer who also plays online games, so you will say the second one. When in fact, if you look at the hard probability, the first one is probability of A, and the second one is a conjunction, so it's probability of A and B. And the first one will be, of course, more likely than the second one. So we as developers also have these cognitive biases, and they come into play in a lot of aspects of our everyday work. And for example, if we need to describe the usage or describe in general our application, we tend to over-represent those features that are more easy to recall, or that for some reason are more salient in our code. For example, the ones we had more difficulty implementing, or the parts where we had more bugs in our code. Another example is like in software development, we have somewhat of cycles of what is popular, what is hip at a certain time. And this also is also related to our cognitive biases. And of course, in testing, this shows up a lot, because even experienced testers are shown by experimental evidence to only seek instances where they confirm their own views, so where they show a positive testing bias. And so how can we avoid somehow these biases? Is there a way? So we can look it up on Wikipedia. We have quite an extensive list of cognitive biases. We can get familiar with them, but somehow this is not really enough. Because biases tend to work a little bit like visual illusions. So you know that one of these arrows is bigger than the other, but you cannot help seeing the first one as bigger than the second one. And this is the same thing with cognitive biases. So awareness of them doesn't necessarily protect us against them. So one thing that we can do is to follow Dijkstra's advice and approach the task of programming with some humility, and always be also conscious of what he calls the limited size of our own skull. And I would like to finish by showing you some of the references that I used in preparing this presentation. And as you can see, I could not finish in time, so I am Portuguese, and we always need overtime to, to finish things. Thank you very much.
So hi, I'm David from Slovenia. My last name Krmpotić, it's hard to pronounce. I'm going to show you a little tool I made in the last couple of months, but it didn't actually take a lot of work. It's based on something called Qt files, which looks like this. And this was open in one of my tabs as a design. Somebody was showing how to design this user interface. So it wasn't much more than as you see now, but then I added a few features, and I think it might be useful for you. So use cases are if you need to easily show code to somebody, and it's not in GitHub or repositories yet. And the other use case, if you want to share something directly from your laptop, like audio, books, video, and other things. Of course, you should have the rights to distribute these things. It's already working. The same thing I will show you, you can install by this command. And now I will show you how it works. So I'm in some folder, and I just type magic. And then it copies something to my clipboard. And if you want, you can type this into your laptop, some of you. So ef4cd20c.ngrok.io. So, but be careful with audio and video because it starts playing immediately, so maybe lower the volume. But it should work, right? And yeah, this is the folder I have on my laptop, and I can move. For example, this is a really good book, and it's free. Culture and Empire by a guy in Netherlands who is unfortunately became very sick, and he wrote a protocol for dying. If you haven't read that, maybe it's also good. He got really sick. But he has a lot of good books, and that's one thing. But interesting thing for developers is that you can see the code, and it has syntax highlighter for different languages. So now we're looking at the code of this project itself, right? And it has font with ligatures, and this needs some more work. So for example, if the code changes on the locally, it should update through Socket.io on every open browser. And also it's possible that other person can edit directly on your laptop if this is implemented. So that's more or less it. And actually, if you use it and find something missing, pull requests are welcome, and discussions also. And you can write me in this email. This is a company I work with. It's something that's coming out end of year. It's about books and reading. So if you like reading and learning, you might as well enjoy this when it comes out. So thanks.
My name is Ivan. I'm from Berlin. So we will talk about JS development using Docker. How much of you do the JavaScript? How much of you use a Docker? How much of you use Docker with the development of JavaScript? Okay, I hope that in 5 minutes I'll improve your life. So why actually this idea comes up? Recently Docker released a new version for the Mac and Windows you probably heard about. So now they kind of implement the native approach. So it's run likely kind of like on Linux. So the second one, we don't need to install like npm, nvm-ish node stuff on your Mac or Windows or whatever. We don't want to pollute it. So the next, we can easily share our working environment with our team members, with anybody. So there's no way like, okay, I have a Node 4.6, you have a 6. Whatever. You can run your Node kind of in production environment. And this is mostly connected to the last. It's not Jeep friendly, so probably some of you have this libc bindings, when actually it doesn't run on Mac, but it's fully okay in the Ubuntu or Debian, whatever. So what the problem is that we probably want to run sometimes different version of the node. So, and we should store it somewhere, because it's really weird when you run the container and every time it actually download the node. So there is a solution to just use data volume container to use that. So there is a repo. I'll post it on the Twitter after all if you want to use it. And I don't have actually a presentation, so we do some coding, like not coding, but the bash. Where is that? Okay, is it big enough? Yeah, I think so. So this is a command. We actually create this data volume container. It will be usable for the store in the NVM cache. So here we have, where is it? Okay, I create some ls for the big running of the Docker container. Also in the GitHub, you'll check it out. Now we actually download the node version because we run it the first time, and npm cache container is actually empty. So now we're inside. So what it do is actually show you the version of running operation system, the node you're running, and it automatically moves you to source directory where actually your project. So if you do the last now, you see that like some node index.js is just a dummy hello world. And if I find now the browser somewhere, yeah. So we're going to the local host. Yeah, hello Polyconf. Okay, but what we can do else? I say that actually it support the hot loading stuff. For example, when you're working with React, you want a hot loading. So let's do some front-end boilerplate. Okay, we do this also GSD. I'm already installed all npm dependency because it usually takes time and it's not like 5 minutes, probably more. So we do the npm start. Okay, until it do something, I show you what is actually this run sh. So we have this run script, which is actually run mount the volume and do some ports. And yeah, and in ls, I just move it out that please run the script when I press JSD. So okay, now we have running application. Okay, and we want now actually the hot reloading. So where is it? Let's open the code. Yeah, let's, for example, change it to true. And here we go. So it's actually work inside a Docker, and I think that's it.